Kristina, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me, Dorothy.
Of course, of course. I can't believe that we're both in that great book that the Can Care group put out. What's the name of it again?
Hope in the Face of Cancer.
I know, that's it. Wonderful book. Wonderful friends
Yes.
to have there. But I want to talk about your cancer, your breast cancer today, and how you found it, when it was found, what type, how old you were.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll go back about 3 years. I found a lump just by accident. My arm kind of hit my breast, and I was like, what is that? And then I kind of felt a lump. And so I went in and had a mammogram and ultrasound, and they said, everything's fine. And then I went to normal 1 year mammogram. Usually it's always an ultrasound because I'm very dense breast. And again, everything's fine. And so then it was December of 2023, I sort of accidentally again bumped my breast. And I was like, I think that's the same lump. So I clearly wasn't doing monthly breast self-exams, which is why I titled my book Touch Your Tatas. Because
I know, and that's a great book, but Touch Your Tatas, I mean, come on.
Well, I wasn't.
It's going to get your attention if nothing else, yes.
Yes, because I wasn't doing my self-exams and I wasn't touching my tatas. I felt like it was weird, a little uncomfortable. And
it is.
In hindsight, I think it could have been life-changing for me had I done that. So I went again to get an ultrasound and mammogram, and this time the radiologist said, let's do a biopsy of that, and let's do a biopsy on the other side too. Oh. And so on Valentine's...
You didn't feel anything on the other side?
No.
Okay.
I think that one was very small. And so it was Valentine's Day 2024 last year. I got the call, we have your results of your biopsy. So, it wasn't exactly, roses and chocolates that
gift
day.
You wanted to get that day. No.
Right. That's also why I have an upside down heart on my book, because it was not a great Valentine's Day.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
But it also looks like a little bit like something else.
Yes, it does. That's what I thought it was. Yes.
It was. Yeah. So,
very creative.
Thank you. So, that was shocking news. But I was preparing.
So you didn't expect it. You really thought it was just going to be benign.
Yes, because since I was about 30 years old, I've had dense breasts, and I've had lots of mammograms, ultrasounds, and a few biopsies, and they've all just come back okay. Now, I do have family history. Both my maternal and paternal grandmothers had it, but in their late stages of their life, so after 75 years old. And then my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer the year before me.
I think that is so ironic, and that you'd watched her go through it the year before. Oh, my goodness.
Right. So I wasn't expecting it, but in a way I wasn't shocked. I was sort of like, well, I've kind of always thought like I have this family thing. And even though my BRCA tests were negative, I still felt like we had familial issues in our family. So I was preparing for a double mastectomy, and we did a breast MRI, just kind of pre-surgery to see where everything was. And there was a shadow on my spleen in that breast MRI. But the breast MRI wasn't supposed to be looking at the spleen. It just caught some of it. And my oncologist said, look, cancer doesn't normally spread to the spleen, but just to make sure, let's do a full body PET scan and just make sure. And so when we did that, she saw 3 spots in my liver, and we biopsied that. And it was also my breast cancer had spread there. So
already.
Well, it probably had spread a while back, but I just learned that I had it. So stage 4, my first thought is I could die. I mean, honestly. I didn't know a whole lot about cancer, but I knew stage 4 wasn't great. Right. So, so I stopped the plans for the double mastectomy, and we decided to do a full body, treatment plan And we started that in April of 2024. So my oncologist, I basically picked all female doctors. I didn't mean to, but I just felt comfortable with them. And so I kind of called them my Superpower Activate medical team, because I just looked at them like superwoman, like that was just my team to fight with me. And so my oncologist at St. Luke's The Woodlands was amazing. And one of the things that I asked her when we were talking about a treatment plan was, I've been doing my own research and I'm reading a lot of articles about alternative things. Are you okay with me, talking to you about these and considering some of these alternative things in addition to your standard treatment plan? And she said yes. And I just thought, okay, I've picked the right doctor, because I just feel like it's so important that you trust your medical professionals, but that you also are partnered with them, and that they listen to you and they're open to hearing what you have to say. And if that's not the case, then I think you might need to move on to the next
It is such good
doctor.
advice. Thinking of it as a partner.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's your life. I mean, stage 4, I was like, I'm 53 years old. I had a 13-year-old son, single mom. I mean, I had to live for him. I wanted to see him grow up. And so I had to be my own advocate for myself. And I found some amazing research articles about an alternative medication used for something else. It's called fenbendazole. And it's a drug used for anti-parasitic treatment for humans and animals. It's been around for many, many years. And you can find a cancer protocol for this, because there was a man who was he did all his cancer treatments that his oncologist said there's nothing more we can do. You have 3 months to live. And his friend was a vet and said, I've read a lot of articles about fenbendazole and cancer, and I can get it for you, and let's just try it. And his name is Joe Tippins. And so I had 3 friends send me articles about him kind of right when I first got diagnosed. And I felt like, there's such an influx of information. People were so great, and they were trying to be well-meaning, but it was a little overwhelming. Absolutely. And so it was like, I can't read everything people are sending me. But when 3 friends sent me this one guy's
that's a sign.
blog, I was like, I think I need to look into this.
Yes,
I feel like it's God saying, I'm trying to get your attention here.
Right.
So when I read through that, I was like, I'm going to join the Facebook group. I'm going to read all these articles. And, I started doing the research myself. I didn't want to believe his blog or, a friend or whatever. I wanted to do my own research for my own self and for my own situation. And that's what I highly encourage anybody who's listening, that no matter what you're going through, understand what your treatment is and what the side effects are, and just be aware of what it's going to do to your body, good or bad, and just be aware of that and just know what's happening, and don't just listen to what people say. Like, do your own research. So I found this article, I read it, got on the Facebook groups, and I said, you know what, I'm going to talk to my oncologist about this. And she said, look, I'm not going to tell you not to try it. Go for it. And so I just love that. And so we did hormone therapy, because I have the kind of cancer that doesn't respond to chemo. And we even did some blood work to see if chemo would help even a little bit, and it wouldn't. So we didn't go that route. We did hormone therapy, and then I added fenbendazole. And after 2 months, everything had shrunk 50%.
Oh, my goodness.
And so my doctor was like, that is a lot in a short period of time, and you're responding better to this treatment than I normally see. And I said, so can I just keep doing what we're doing, everything that we're doing? And she said, keep doing everything you're doing. And so we decided 2 more months we would do another scan. So at month 4, it was gone in my breast and my liver. No evidence of disease in my PET scan.
Oh my goodness.
I had no side effects to my fenbendazole. It was just worked together with what she was doing to give me a quick response. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of articles too about the combination of fenbendazole with chemotherapy. There's a lot of research that shows that it can reduce side effects and also help with the effectiveness of it. So there's definitely, it's out there. It's just not out there. I mean,
it hasn't been approved. It hasn't, or it's, there's a drug that's like it.
Mebendazole is for humans.
That is very expensive and very experimental.
Well, and so I did find a doctor willing to give me enough mebendazole to treat my cancer, but then when you send it to compounding pharmacy, it was like $15,000. And I had been going to my local feed store. I've been getting a packet of fenbendazole. I've been putting them in little empty pill capsules from Amazon, and it was about $1 a day that I was spending on that. So I said, I think I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But it's very similar to ivermectin, and that is an anti-parasitic drug, and it is also
used all the time
for all different kind of things. And so it's, drugs are usually made for an intended purpose, but sometimes you get lucky and there's like some really great side effects to a drug that was kind of unintended, off-label, if you will. So
go back a minute. You made the decision not to have the mastectomy, the bilateral.
At that time.
Okay.
So my oncologist and I decided we would treat my body because because it had spread.
Yes.
And then we would kind of make determinations like every 2 months what the next step was. And so after 4 months, it was NED. She's like, so now we probably need to talk about your double mastectomy. And so at that point, I'd already made the decision I was going to do it before. Now it was sort of like, okay, revisiting that. And I went ahead and did that. And I did it pretty soon. And I would say that my only regret is I didn't have to do it that quickly. And I wish I would have just sat with it a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
It's
not that you regret it. It's just...
Yes, I think what happens when you have cancer, a lot of times you're in a hurry to get to the other side, whatever that looks like.
Right.
And so in my mind, I was like, I want to be done with this at the end of the year. I kind of want...
Very ambitious.
I know. I was like, I want to do all the things and start 2025 off, being healed and recovered. And I look back and I think, well, I'm always gonna have a deductible. Like, I think I was trying to meet deductibles and, things like that. And, I just think I wish I would have just sat there and waited and prayed a little bit more and just not been in such a hurry. I probably would have done the exact same thing, but I think I would have just maybe... I don't know. I'm doing that right now in part of my process because I've had reconstruction and I did not save my nipples. And so the next step would be, do I want to get 3D nipple tattoos? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know. And I'm going to sit with this a little bit longer because my old self would have said, get
it done.
Get it done. Get to looking like as much as the old you as possible, as quickly as possible. But now I'm like, well, these weren't the breasts I was born with, but these are my breasts now. And every day I'm more and more used to them. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to change this. And I'm just sitting with the decision a little longer. So I think...
But that is very, very good advice.
I think it is.
Sometimes... It's just what you're saying, that pause, that talking with your body.
Right.
That telling it whatever it needs to hear is it's just a different way of doing it, and it doesn't hurt.
Right.
And sometimes we have to go through a process of grieving or letting go or saying goodbye.
Right.
all of those things, because it was a
Yes.
change that required saying goodbye.
Right. And I think that's why I wish I would have waited a little bit too, because you just don't really understand what it's going to do to you until it does it to you.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, but hindsight's always 20/20.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
So I'm only here to share, that I wish I would have given myself, not felt in such a hurry to make decisions, because there wasn't anybody telling me I had to do it right then.
That's just part of your personality.
It was part of my personality. I was like, let's get this
But
done.
you don't think about what insight you got from that.
Yes.
It was a great inner looking in a mirror of yourself to say, whoops,
Yeah.
maybe this is something I need to work on a little bit.
In my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, not just this one
Not
area.
just this, yes.
Yeah.
But now you counted an awful lot on your faith
Yes.
and on prayer through this time. I mean, in your book is so inspiring. It's just page after page of things that we hear, but when we see them in the context that you put them in, you hear different things.
No, no.
Yeah.
It's amazing how God can use a verse that you've read your whole life, and it just hits you differently when you're in a different season. And I do believe my faith played a big role in my journey and my healing, because I prayed for three things right away. One is that I would pick a medical team that would partner with me and help, that the Lord would help guide me to the right people. And that the second thing was that I would do the right treatments for me, and that the Lord would help me know what that was, my treatments and surgeries. And then third, that I would just be completely healed. I mean, I just decided I'm going to be bold and pray for like the ultimate.
The ultimate,
The ultimate.
Yes.
But I was prepared that if that wasn't the Lord's will, I knew he was going to use me. I mean, I just knew very early on that this was happening in my life for a reason, and I didn't even know what it was, but I knew that it was my job to glorify the Lord through it. And so I just tried to walk with that every day.
Now, did you have that same feeling or understanding with your mother?
Well, my mom, she was diagnosed with stage 0. So she went ahead and did a single mastectomy, but had didn't need any kind of treatment. I don't know why
Get you a Kleenex over there.
I don't know why I'm tearing up.
Well, this is a very emotional story. It's a very personal story.
I know.
And I appreciate your courage for even sharing all this with us.
I feel like
it's a biggie.
It's now my life's ministry. I mean, I just want people to hear my story and give them hope.
Right.
But my mom,
Stage 4, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
stage 4.
You kind of skipped over that.
Yeah, stage 4. Yeah.
It is often a very limited survival rate.
Yes.
And you knew that going in.
Yes. At first, I was given 30% chance to live 5 years. And then after 2 months of treatment, she raised it to 50% because I was responding. Mm-hmm. And then now I'm 95%.
Wow.
And I'm 1 year cancer-free last week.
Congratulations.
So I'm closer to that 5 years already. So, but my mom's situation was a little bit different. She had stage 0, had a single mastectomy, and no treatment. No.
That was it.
That
That's
was
all
it.
she needed.
Yeah. And her story, she I think this happens with everybody, no matter what you go through. Sometimes you look back and you question your decisions and you say, did I do the right thing? And she did that too. She said, it was stage 0. And so, was a mastectomy necessary? Like, especially after everything I've been through and kind of like comparing my situation with her, she sometimes looks back and says, I really don't know. And I said, you know what? You make the decisions based on the information that you have. You prayed about it. You can't second guess yourself. And when I start to second guess myself sometimes, I just try not to stay there very long because it just doesn't really help. You've done the thing and you can't
It's kind of like you have
it.
to acknowledge that little bratty child that keeps wanting to bring it up
Yes.
and go, all right, you've told me, go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think throughout your book, again, Touch Your Tatas, which is not an expression we use around here very often. I think you gave some incredible advice and shared some. I don't know which story I liked the best, whether it was making memories or about the prayer group.
Yeah, both are awesome.
Can you share that with our listeners?
Yes. So the making memories. So when I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, my first thought is, I don't know if I'm going to live. And so I realized I've really spent my whole life ruminating on past things and worrying about future things and haven't been so great about living in the now. So I decided I was going to live in the now and make memories with my son and my parents and just focus on that. So one of the things I did, I didn't even put this in the book, but last Christmas I told my son, we're not doing presents, we're doing experiences. So, what do you want your experience this year to be? And so that kind of led to the trip to Hawaii because he said, I want to go to Hawaii. And so we booked a trip to Hawaii. My parents came with us because, I didn't know if I would have another trip with them,
Right.
So we made it a big family affair. And, I did things like took them out of school to go see a solar eclipse and, just go into concerts.
And it wasn't just here. You drove.
We drove to Waco,
Yes.
and, saw some great friends. And, it's just taking the time to make a core memory with him was just really important. We went to a dude ranch and rode horses and things like that. And I just think, that's something I can carry with me now that I'm going to live. And everybody, no matter what, if you have a diagnosis or not, you do not know that you have tomorrow. It's not promised. So making memories and having experiences with the people that you love that's what life's really about.
It is.
And then what was the other thing? The prayer service.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, the prayer service. So one of my dear friends, Tammy from my church, she said, I'd like to do a prayer service at the church. Are you okay with that? And I said, absolutely. I would love anyone who wants to pray for me. I will take it. And I'd never been to anything like this. It was, I call it in between like a funeral, a wedding, a reunion, a church service. It was kind of all rolled into one. It was an amazing time. And even the people who came told me later, I've never been to anything like that. That was so amazing. So it touched my heart, but I think it equally touched the people that were there. And
so what happened?
They prayed over me.
They brought you in the middle of the room? Or
Yep, they brought me up to the front, and not everybody got up and came, but I would say 95% of the people got out of their seats, came forward and laid hands on me. And prayed, and scripture was read, and stories were told. And, at the very end, I stood up and I thanked everyone for coming. And I sort of made the proclamation, look, live for today. That's what I'm learning. You don't need a diagnosis. This is something you can take away from here, like for yourself. And so I think
what moved you to do that?
Well, my daily devotional is Jesus Calling, and that particular day I read that to the group, and it was basically saying that, and it was what I was going through. And so I was like, well, this is divine. I feel like I need to share this with the people that come tonight. And
it was a large group.
It was about 100 people came from all areas of my life, people from high school, childhood friends. I mean, that's why I say it was like a reunion too. But, I also mentioned that it was sort of like I was living my funeral in the best possible way that year, because what was happening is while I didn't know if I was going to live, other people didn't know if I was going to live. And so what that did is it made people reach out to me and say things that they might not normally say to me, like how I impacted their life, or I led them to Christ, or I made a big difference in their life in a hard period or whatever. And it just felt like that's the kind of thing you normally hear at a funeral when the person's not around to hear it anymore. And
that is so true.
I tell you what, hearing all that, it kind of made it like I wouldn't give this up. If somebody said, look, you can go back in time and take all this away from you, would you do it? I wouldn't, because it was a blessing. And I look at it like God had to make me walk through this season, and it created a new season for my life. It's just, I feel like my ministry now is focused on women and breast cancer and cancer in general, and just giving hope to people and sharing my story. Whatever that looks like for them is everybody. That's the thing. Everybody I talked to that's had any form of cancer, it's just all so different. It's such a personal thing. Everybody's story is so different.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's cancer is so different.
Very, yeah.
So, what works for one may not work for the other.
Right.
But it is, you're so right. Everyone's different.
But I feel like, you can learn from people, even if your medical situation's slightly different. I mean, just sometimes I talk to people, they just want. That's kind of what led to the book. I was talking to people on the phone for like 5 hours a day for a while.
I was amazed at that. But you were talking to survivors or to people who had just been diagnosed?
Lots of my friends would say, hey, I want to
connect you with someone.
With someone that I know. Would you talk to them? And I would always say yes. Mm-hmm. And so I would tell them what I did, and I'd just be there to listen to them. And then it was getting like a little overwhelming. That was a lot of time. And I was trying to recover from surgeries. And so while I was recovering, I said, I'm just going to write this all in a blog. And then my friends can give them the blog, and then I'm not saying the same things over and over. And then they can call me with additional questions. And that way we're talking about the additional things and not every last thing.
Yes.
Every last thing over and over. So then the blog just kind of exploded. It was like thousands of hits in months. And so I was like, I think there's something bigger here. And it just felt like it was my life ministry to share my story. And I didn't know how to do that. And I thought, I'm going to write a book, never even thinking 1 second about what I do with it after it's published. I mean, I literally had no plan. But I had a friend, we were at lunch one day, and I just released the book probably a week before that on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And she said, well, you should probably do like a press release or something. And I'm like, well, okay, I don't know how to do that, but I think that's a good idea. And so I had ChatGPT help me with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm here with you, and like others, it's getting out. So it's definitely not a plan that it's sort of from the Lord when it's bigger than what you could have done yourself.
Right.
And so I just feel like this has gotten bigger than any plan I could have had for this.
So you talk so much about being your own advocate and about research and knowing more about your body. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our group?
Well, I just feel like having the right medical team that you feel comfortable with, that will listen to you and partner with you, is very crucial. I think doing your own research, really understanding what you're taking and what the effects of that is on your body. And I also just feel like prayer is very powerful. And I encourage you to dive into your faith, like during any kind of storm. I mean, I've had other storms in my life where the Lord kind of picked me up and carried me through it. But I do believe that my faith was a big part of this. It helped me to find that medical team and the articles that I needed to read for treatment.
Not to be afraid to ask for big.
Don't be afraid to ask for big.
Yeah, I mean, you've asked for the whole thing.
Yes.
And it was granted.
It was.
Yeah.
And I feel like, well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So,
great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And like I said, your book is total inspiration. I really recommend it for anyone who's going through any kind of difficulty in life.
Thank you very much. It was nice to be with you.
Yeah, such courage.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.